Alright. Alright. Hi, my name is Logan Williams. This is my soil site survey project for AGS 101 Soil Science. My major is biological sciences. This is my elective, so. Okay. Well, the first site I chose was EnviroCore Labs. This is where I work. This is on Clark Street in town in Harrington. The coordinates are 38.92258 degrees north and then 75.57327 degrees west. Like I said, it's in town Harrington, and it's just mostly houses and developed areas, paving, stores, that kind of thing. It's right down the road from a firehouse, surrounded by fields. The only soil type that I saw here for this small AOI was Falsington Urban Land Complex, or on the map here, it's a little small, but for the AOI, it's just shown as FZB on the map. This is for slopes 0 to 5%, poorly drained, low runoff class, depth of the water table about 10 inches, and no flooding, but pumping is occasional. So for the soil texture, when I conducted soil ribboning and that thing, you can see the pictures over on the top right. My results were sandy clay loam, and you can see that that's because it broke around 2 inches and it felt pretty gritty. And I conducted this test around 10 to 32 inches of depth, so I went into WSS and found the texture descriptions for different depths, and at 10 to 32 inches it's sandy clay loam, so those agree. And then you can see my topographic map in the bottom middle here, but if you go back a slide, this is also an aerial map. It just is of my soils as well. If you look towards the right, there's two pictures of the area that it was in. And then site 2 is in Georgetown. It's Petty John Woods, or it's just fields that are a little bit to the right of 113. The coordinates are 38.65331 degrees north and 75.32786 degrees west. Like I said, it's fields in Georgetown They're cornfields actually, and they're bordering woods that have irrigation lines ran into them. There's waterways surrounding pretty much every direction of this field, as you can see in the top right. That's the soil map for it. As you can see in the bottom right, there are 6 different soils types for this one, so a lot more than the first location I had set. But the main soil type is downer sandy from 0 to 2% isotopes. But as you can see, I have them listed. Downer sandy loam is 0 to 2% slopes and 2 to 5% slopes. Fort Knox Henalopen complex is the same too, 0 to 2%, 2 to 5%. And then we have Long Marsh Indian Town soils, 0 to 1% slopes. And these are frequently flooded, so very porous, just water just runs through them. You have Rosedale Loamy Sand, 0 to 2% slopes, which is a very small percentage. It's only 0.7% of the AOI I had selected, which is that whole field that you can see in the top right. So suitabilities and limitations for this. Did I go over suitabilities and limitations for the first one? No, I didn't. So somewhat limited in regards to lawns, because this is in a residential area in town Harrington. And this is mainly because of low exchange capacity. Okay, sorry, I meant to go over this as well. And then the aggregates of the site seem to be mostly granular and porous, and large chunks are usually organic matter from topsoil. Anyways, resuming. Suitabilities and limitations of site 2, which is in Georgetown. Didn't mean to go backwards. I did the ratings by yield of irrigated corn crop, because these are cornfields. And all of the soils in this range yield well, so the lowest being a 98 rating. But the highest rating was downer sandy loam for 0 to 2 and 2 to 5% slopes. As you can see in the bottom right picture, they're both 129 rating. 129.6 for 0 to 2 and 129.36 for 2 to 5. And then I have a topographic image, and an aerial image in the bottom left, as you can see. So for my soil ribboning, my results were loamy sand, and these were conducted about 10 inches once again, and you can see the images in the middle right here, the steps I went of doing it. So this is dry, I added some water, balled it up, and it's about, I mean, it's pretty much less than an inch, and it was gritty, so loamy sand. And then for additional information, the fields were quite grown over, so it wasn't in season for growing time, so they had been fertilized and grazed and all those things, so that probably had a sense towards of the texture of the sand. And then you can see 2 pictures at the bottom middle there. Okay, my third site. This is at my house in Felton, Delaware. This is in town. You can see in the top right a map of the soils. It's near Lake Forest North. There's some fields, baseball fields, other things around it. So for soil types, it's mainly in the, you can see a couple of different soil types throughout the soil map in the top right, but the main one is IGA, and that's right in the middle where my main center of AOI is. And the soil texture that I found on the WSS for that was sandy loam, and when I conducted ribboning on it myself, I also found that it was like sandy clay loam. So these didn't fully agree, unlike my first 2, but they are very similar. So I just got a slightly longer ribbon than I would have had to get just sandy loam. And then my suitabilities and limitations for this one. It's actually, shockingly, since there's many houses around here, many buildings, and many stores as well, it's very limited. I on WSS it said it was highly limited for almost every area. In the bottom left, you can see everything red is very limited, and then some of the yellow is just like limited. But I'm right dead in the middle, so that's very limited. And this is just due to low exchange capacity, aluminum saturation, and it's also droughty, which is shocking to me. You can see my topographic map in the bottom right middle, and then my aerial map in the bottom left middle, and that's just the area from the yard I collected the sample in the bottom right. Okay, so those are my 3 sites I collected from, but some conclusions I drew from this is that, firstly, this is something I enjoy doing a lot. At my job, I collect soil samples, but we usually just collect them, dry them, sieve them, so we filter them basically, and then we ship them off, and they test somewhere else. But I actually got to be hands-on with the characterization of the soils here. Also, it was quite shocking when I went to the suitabilities and limitations side of the project, and I saw that there were like probably over 100 options for the types of areas and the types of suitabilities and limitations you can test for, and it was just very in-depth, and you can go super far in depth to characterize soils, more so than I thought beforehand. And also, as a last final ending point, this is the most hands-on I've been able to be in an asynchronous class, counting as a lab credit, so this has just been a really fun experience overall. But yeah, that was my soils project for WSS, and hope you guys enjoyed.